In the middle of Death Valley, there's a castle built by one of the greatest storytellers and conmen in American history, Death Valley Scotty. It may have been built on lies, but the castle is real, and it's still standing. In 2015, a massive flood forced Scotty's castle to close. It hasn't been open since, until today. The National Park Service has given us special permission to explore, document, and uncover the hidden history within these walls. For the past 5 years, I've been living in my own ghost town, Cerro Gordo, working to bring it back to life. That experience makes places like this feel personal. Scotty's Castle is more than a curiosity to me. It's a fragile reminder of how far people will go to leave their mark in the desert. All right, today we are on a exciting and somewhat rare adventure. An adventure to a place that has been closed to the general public for over 10 years. An adventure to a place that's built on ambition, greed, and a little bit of deceit. Kind of like some of the best stories that happen in the West. And that place is Scotty's Castle. A castle that's built in the middle of Death Valley National Park that was inspired by a guy named Walter Death Valley Scotty Scott. He was probably best known for being a con man. We're gonna get a real view into this and some history lessons from a Death Valley National Park ranger. This is a special permission from Death Valley. So I'm excited to show you guys this place that's been closed for a long time and dive deeper into the history of one of the craziest stories you ever hear out here.
Hi, I'm Gia. I'm a park ranger here at Death Valley National Park, and we're here at Scotty's Castle.
Nice.
Which is neither a castle nor did Scotty own it. Scotty is a guy that went by Death Valley Scotty. And yeah, told everyone, hey, I've got a gold mine. I'm rich. I got all this money. It attracted a lot of investors. One of them was a gentleman by the name of Albert Johnson. And Albert and Scotty developed a friendship. Albert would later find out that Scotty was full of it. There was no gold mine. He was not rich. He was born in Kentucky in 1872, but either between the ages of 8 or 12 comes out west with his brothers. So early on, he has this intimate knowledge of Death Valley. Grows up as a young adult, eventually moves to Wyoming, becomes a rancher. And it's while he's there in this ranch in Wyoming that he is recruited for Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. Oh. So he does that for a while. But as time goes on, popularity is dwindling of the show. He's getting bored. Scotty is a guy that needs to be entertained at all times. He's eventually fired. And then after that starts his con. He moves to Colorado where he does work in some gold mines. His wife comes across a little gold piece, which she keeps as a souvenir. But when he finds her souvenir gold, he takes it, goes to New York City, and starts telling investors, I have a gold mine in Death Valley, invest in me, and gets a bunch of grub stake money and is almost rich like overnight. And instead of going back to Colorado to support his wife, goes to LA to spend it. And that's where Death Valley Scotty is born. Goes to hotels, tips bellhops $100, is just throwing cash around, buying drinks for everybody. And journalists are noticing this.
I hear Scotty's back in town again, Mr. Kane. Oh? On another spending spree. Understand he paid $50 for a haircut today.
Where does his money come from?
His gold mine.
So this is how Albert learns about Scotty and is very interested in the allure of not just Scotty, but Death Valley too.
Sounds like you really had a time for yourself, Scotty. I sure did.
So they meet through mutual business partners. Scotty is regaling him with Death Valley stories, and Albert is quoted in saying, "I trust this man with my life," and gives him some grub stake money.
I don't know who's getting more enjoyment out of this, Scotty, you or I.
Couple months go by. He doesn't hear too much about what's going on with his investment, and so he sends a telegram like, "Hey Scotty, what's going on? How's the gold mine?" And then Albert's like, "I want to come to Death Valley. It sounds like a cool place. Like, you hyped it up so much." Scotty's like, "Are you crazy? It's summertime. This is the hottest desert in the world. You're gonna die if you come here."
Why, man, the pink condition. Keel over. Just like that.
Scotty kept up the ruse, but Albert pushed so much that he eventually agreed to a trip out here.
All right. I'll show it to you.
He told Albert that they were going to go meet in Barstow, hop on mules, and ride mules all the way here. Now, Albert is slightly disabled. He has a bad back, walks with a limp. His back is a source of constant pain. Scotty knows this and wants to make this trip sound as unappealing as possible, but Albert says, "Sounds like fun. I'm in. I'll meet you there." As I was saying, Albert agrees to this trip, goes to Barstow, they hop on mules with other potential investors. Scotty's brother, Warner Scott, is there. They ride all the way to Death Valley. They're coming up from the south through a place called Wingate Pass. And just as they're entering, shots start ringing out of nowhere towards the group. And Albert, at first he's a little scared because he's this city guy from Chicago, has never been out here before. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, Scotty is right. There's bandits, they're here to kill me." But Scotty acts like, hero of the day, he's got this. He rides ahead, pulls out his pistol, starts shooting. So there's bullets now flying everywhere. This whole gunfight breaks out. But all of a sudden, a stray bullet hits Scotty's brother. Scotty rides up to the bandits and starts waving his hands, and he starts yelling, "Stop it! Stop shooting! You fools! You shot Warner! Stop shooting!" Which is kind of suspicious. So the shooting stops and everyone attends to Warner. They bandage him up, get him out of there as quickly as possible. At first, news reports, because journalists, of course, heard about this and they sensationalize it. They're like, "Oh my God, battle at Wingate Pass." But as time went on and local sheriffs started looking into the shooting, it was suspicious. Very, very suspicious.
So I'm a fake, am I? It's my opinion, sir. Digging up the facts on things is my business.
So much so that Scotty is caught bribing witnesses. That was cause enough to arrest him. He later confesses that the battle was all a ruse, all put on to distract from the fact that there is no gold mine.
There's no record of you ever filing on a gold claim in your district. That whole country's been combed from end to end, and nobody's ever found so much as a hole in the ground that gold could come from.
And his investors read this and they're furious and they sue the pants off Scotty. They start taking him to court. Everyone except Albert. He's not too mad at Scotty. He actually always suspected that the gold mine wasn't real, but he just had so much fun out here and enjoyed listening to Scotty talk that he continues to pay Scotty, not as a miner, but as a tour guide, to keep bringing him out here on trips so that they could camp and just live that cowboy lifestyle. Albert would invite Bessie, his wife, along, and she also was very taken by the place and said, "I want a proper vacation home. Build me a proper vacation home." And so here it is, Death Valley Ranch. So construction of the castle began in 1922 and lasted up until 1931, which is when it was stopped abruptly. Herbert Hoover, president at the time, was considering turning Death Valley into a national park, a national monument, I should say. We don't become a park till 94. Albert at the time thought he bought this property and was good to go, but the federal land surveyors found that he actually started building on public land. The land he bought is actually a mile north, mile west of this location. One of the things that was in the middle of construction was the pool. Albert stopped construction, started a long legal battle to try to earn property rights to this location. And he would eventually get those rights, but not until 1937. Country goes into a Great Depression. Albert loses a lot of money, and he's also getting older, so he just doesn't have the funds or the ability to finish things here at the castle. So the pool is left unfinished.
Yeah.
People were fascinated by not just the building being where it is, but just how comfortable it was. And it's because of not just the architecture, but the engineering that Albert Johnson put into this place. Albert really started ramping up his engineering, specifically of trying to generate electricity here. So here in Grapevine Canyon, there is a spring that is above the ranch, but that spring supplied about 200 gallons of water per minute. The force of that would push these spoons in the Pelton water wheel that are connected to a generator, which would spin these copper magnets, these magnets surrounded by copper wire, which would generate electricity. And that he would store in a bank of Edison batteries down in the tunnels underneath the powerhouse. He also had eventually started putting in diesel generators just because the demand for power grew when he purchased a large theater pipe organ.
Okay.
Yeah. So huge, luxurious thing that he bought for his castle, but that demanded a lot of energy that the water wheels couldn't supply. So diesel generator.
Got it.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Cool.
So this is Scotty's porch. We're right outside his bedroom, actually. We call it Scotty's bedroom, but he didn't really actually sleep in here all that much. So Scotty, guests would be here, renting rooms, chatting with the Johnsons. And Scotty was the big draw, right? He's this mysterious gold miner, king of the desert mine. The fact that he's a con artist is still somewhat unknown. But if it was getting late, he would say goodnight, walk into his bedroom, maybe get more comfortable, dress down. And then he would walk out this door, ride a mule into the mountains to go camp. The facade was big, rich, millionaire, successful gold miner. He's a rough and tumble cowboy at heart. So bedroom was just a facade. But the bedroom definitely was used to play up that gold mine myth. So he told everyone, right? He made his wealth because of his gold, and he actually built his castle on top of his gold mine, and in his bedroom, underneath his bed, is the entrance to the gold mine. So to really sell it, we've got the shot splitter here. So of course, if he's telling everyone that there's a gold mine under the castle and the entrance is his bedroom, of course, people might try to break in. But the shot splitter here was meant to be a security system of sorts, where if a bandit were to try to come in, break in through the door or go in through the window, he'd be on the other side with the shotgun. There is a hole behind this metal piece here where he would stick the barrel through, pull the trigger. The shot would hit the metal and become split to hit bandit at the door, bandit at the window, cool. And they're done. This is like a few other things in the castle, just merely a prop for that story. Mm-hmm. It's not a shot splitter, never has been used. If it were, probably wouldn't work.
That's really cool.
These are foundations of a building that was the garage. The historic garage was used by Albert to store his vehicles. He was a big car guy. But we, when the Park Service took over, used it as a visitor center. It is no longer here. So why it's closed? Essentially, the night of October 19th of 2015, Death Valley was hit by a really big storm that caused some major flash flooding. In just 5 hours, this placed 3.5 inches of rain. Mm-hmm. So a whole year in just a really short amount of time, and that caused massive deluges. We estimate close to $6 million now worth of damages. Yeah. In the beginning, we thought we were going to be closed, just a couple months. And it's almost 10 years later. I think the number one question I get is, why is it closed so long? Yeah. And I've been here for almost those 10 years. And I can tell you that, yes, we're doing quite a lot. It's just there's challenge after challenge after challenge with such a big place like this. One of them being the historic garage.
Yeah. walking around here, I can't help but think of all the like legends of Cerro Gordo and the way that fact and fiction kind of blend together in the high desert. But places like this are built on that. It takes somebody with some crazy ambition, a dream, a drive to want to do something like this. And it's cool because 100 and something years later, we're still talking about it. We're still venturing to there. And so it's almost like a celebration of those types of characters. And I think somewhere in those characters, whether it's Death Valley Scotty or Burro Schmidt or the Beekeeper, I see some bit of myself. And so I think that's why I love coming out to places like this. I feel very fortunate to be able to have checked out this amazing place. And whenever it opens, I hope you guys can come check it out too. But with that, we're going to get back on the road, venture back to Cerro Gordo.
I reckon Death Valley has given me all I could ask for, too. My name in headlines, money to burn, even the dream I used to have when I was a kid. Death Valley Scotty's castle.